All right, let's talk blockchain. I know. When you hear that word, your mind probably jumps straight to Bitcoin, right? To crypto bros, maybe those wild price charts that give you a heart attack just looking at them. So much hype, so much confusion. But is that the whole story? No way, not even close. The truth is, the technology behind all that crypto craziness, that might actually be the most important part. And for things that have absolutely nothing to do with digital money, yeah, you heard that right. So to really get it, we need to peel back the layers and break this thing down. Welcome back to the channel, finance people. If you are new here, a hearty welcome from the JoshLM finance crew. I'll be your teacher today, so get your pen and pad out and let's break this down. Okay, so first things first, let's get right to it. What is blockchain really? And don't worry, we're going to do this in plain English. No complicated jargon, I promise. We're just going to get to the core idea. So I want you to imagine a shared notebook, but it's not like a Google Doc, right? Because Google owns that. This notebook is totally different. It's copied and passed around to thousands of computers all over the world. So there's no single person, no single company in charge. It's a team effort, really. And here's the magic of how it works. So any new record, let's say it's a payment or maybe a shipping update, it goes into what's called a block. Then, that block gets locked up tight with a unique digital seal and a timestamp, and it's linked directly to the block that came before it. See where this is going? This creates the chain. And here's the really crucial part. Once a block is on that chain, it is basically set in stone. Because there are thousands of copies of this chain out there, you can't just sneak back and change one little detail without everybody knowing. It's all about security through total transparency. And that right there is the whole point. You know, money and crypto, that was just the first thing people tried with this tech. The real game changer, the real opportunity here is creating trust. It's about having records you can actually verify in situations where, let's be honest, people don't always trust each other. So look, this isn't for everything. You're not going to use a blockchain for your personal to-do list, right? But it is incredibly powerful when you have a few specific things going on. First, you've got multiple groups who need to share info, but they don't really trust one single boss or central company. Second, the records have to be rock solid. They absolutely cannot be messed with. And third, making sure everything is 100% correct is way more important than being super fast. Okay, enough with the theory. Let's talk about where this is actually being used in the real world. And we're going to start with something you probably did not expect. Your groceries. Yeah, I know, it sounds a little weird, but stick with me here, it's actually pretty cool. So, you've got these huge companies, right? Giants like Walmart and IBM. They're already using this stuff. They've built entire blockchain systems for something called food traceability, which is just a fancy way of saying they're tracking your food all the way from the farm right to the shelf in the store. Let's paint a picture. Imagine there's an E. coli outbreak from some spinach. The old way? Oh man, it would take the stores days, maybe even weeks, of digging through stacks of paper records and making endless phone calls just to figure out where the bad spinach came from. Now, with a blockchain system, they can allegedly trace it back to the exact farm in seconds. We're talking seconds. What does that mean for you and me? It means faster recalls and much safer food for everybody. That's a big deal. So a good way to think about it is like this. Every single box of mangoes or crate of lettuce gets its own permanent digital passport. And at every step of its journey, it gets a new stamp. And the best part? That passport can't be forged. It creates this totally verifiable, bulletproof record from the very beginning to the very end. All right, let's switch gears to another example. This one's a bit more experimental for sure, but it's really important. Voting systems. And I gotta be super clear here. This is still very much in the pilot program and testing stage. This isn't happening everywhere tomorrow. But here's the potential. I mean, voting is all about trust and verification, right? So a blockchain could, in theory, be used to create an incredibly secure record of every vote cast. Each vote would be logged on that tamper-resistant chain. Independent auditors could come in and easily verify the final counts, and no single person or authority could secretly go in and alter the results. Now, look, let's be real. Technology can't fix human politics. But what it can do is make it a whole lot harder to cheat the system. Hey, just a quick pause here. If breakdowns like this, looking at the real-world uses are helpful to you, could you do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button? We're on a mission here at JoshLM Finance to get to 1,000 subscribers, and honestly, every single click helps us get there. Really appreciate that. Okay, let's get back to it. Now, let's talk about where the big money is. Now, this is where it gets kind of funny. You know those huge established banks, the ones that were, let's just say a little skeptical of Bitcoin a few years back? Well, guess what? They are now quietly, behind the scenes, using the very same blockchain technology that powers it. And I'm not talking about some small-time startups here. I'm talking about the absolute giants of the industry, like JP Morgan. They've actually gone and developed their own blockchain-based systems, and they're using them to move massive, massive amounts of money between other big financial institutions. So why are they doing this? It all comes down to one word: efficiency. Normally, when these giant banks send billions of dollars to each other, it can take days for that transaction to fully settle and clear. It's an old, kind of clunky system. With blockchain, they can slash that settlement time down to just a few minutes. This isn't about hype, it's not about memes, it's about pure bottom-line efficiency. And it's not just about being faster. This could fundamentally change the plumbing of the entire financial system, maybe even cut out layers of middlemen and costs down the road. Okay, but let's pump the brakes for a second and bring this back down to earth. We've talked about some really cool uses, but it is so important to understand that blockchain is not some magic wand you can wave to fix every single problem. The reality is there are still some major challenges to work out. Some of these blockchain systems are actually pretty slow. Others, especially the big ones used for crypto like Bitcoin, use a staggering amount of energy. And the regulations? Man, it's still a messy patchwork that's struggling to catch up. On top of all that, different blockchains don't always talk to each other very well. So in many ways, we're still in the early days here. So the big takeaway here is pretty simple. It's a very, very powerful tool, but for specific jobs. It's not a miracle cure for every business problem out there. And knowing when to use it is just as important as knowing how it works. All right, so let's zoom out and try to put a bow on all of this. When you strip away all the crypto hype, all the noise, what is blockchain really? At its heart, it's a new way to keep records. It's a way that's secure, that's transparent, and that's not controlled by any one single person or company. And I think this next thought really sums it all up perfectly. The crypto stuff, with all its crazy volatility and all the headlines, that was just the loud, flashy beginning. The real long-term impact of blockchain is the quiet, kind of boring but incredibly important work that's happening behind the scenes. It's a foundational shift. The real question isn't if it will have an impact, but where that next quiet revolution is going to pop up. And of course, just our standard reminder, this is all for educational purposes only. It is not financial advice. Please, please always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. It shows how important financial literacy is to you. Clearly, you got value from this. So do me a favor and share it with someone like you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.